a sure sign of a good time. The just right taste of Bud Light. Here we go.
Welcome into this week's picks. This is Randy Karraker. I'm Tony Softli, and yeah, that's right. We're wearing Cards gear, and there's a good reason for it. Randy, was that one of for me, that was the best World Series I've ever seen.
That was in my top half dozen games of all time. Buster Olney called it the best World Series game of all time, and I'm not going to disagree with Buster Olney, but it's absolutely in the top 5 that I've ever seen, and it'll go down. We'll see the highlight of David Free's triple and his home run forever.
Let's talk about New Orleans Saints, and let's talk about the St. Louis Rams. Let's talk about Drew Brees. 62-7 score last week against Indianapolis. They put up a lot of points. They seem to be clicking on all cylinders. A well-oiled machine.
They really are. And I don't think that without Reggie Bush as a weapon, I don't think they are what they were. And we don't know if Mark Ingram is going to play against the Rams. But when you have people like Colston and Henderson and Meacham, and now you add in the element of a tight end like Jimmy Graham, and they still have a really good offensive line, and Pierre Thomas will thump you. Offensively, they still have a lot of weapons, and then they have the trigger guy that's throwing 70% completion in Drew Brees. Right there with Green Bay is New Orleans, as far as I'm concerned, as the best offenses in the league.
There's no question. You see them do a lot of motion. They'll put the back in the slot. You see them do a lot of different things to counteract what the defense is doing. Drew Brees is really at his best right now, one of the elite quarterbacks in the National Football League. But when we start to talk about Greg Williams' defense, we're talking about a high-pressure defense, one like they saw last week against Dallas. Here they go, the second week in a row. Here they come.
And here's A.J. Feely, who's played in 1 game since 2007. That was last week. And he has to look at all of these Greg Williams looks. And although it's not like what the Rams do, it is similar in that you'll see a lot of different things in this game that you haven't seen during the course of the season. Williams puts in new blitzes all the time. And he really has to cover up for a vulnerable secondary, a lot like Spagnuolo does. But they do a great job of getting to the quarterback.
There's no question. They'll bring safeties. They'll bring corners. They'll take linebackers to go outside and loop back in. They just do a lot of different things to gyrations to mess up a quarterback. Has A.J. Feely got enough on the field training last week and this week in practice to kind of handle that?
I think he does from a passing standpoint. I think the difference, though, is that as opposed to the Rams, the Saints aren't terrible against the run. They aren't the best team in the league against the run, but they can slow a running game down. And to me, that's where the difference is going to come between the Rams and the Saints, is that the Rams just don't play run defense, and I won't be surprised if Pierre Thomas winds up with 125 yards on the ground, and if they wind up with 175.
This could be ugly. You know what? I think it'll be a little closer, but it could be ugly. Okay, let's get down to our picks. What do you think, Randy?
I think that the Saints will put 5 touchdowns on the board. I would say that a 38-7 would be a score that I would go with. I'm with you. I don't think they'll put up 62 like they did on Indy. We know the Rams are only going to score 1 touchdown. But with New Orleans, they're desperate because they want to stay ahead of their division now. Now that they're in first place, they don't want a team like Tampa, a team like Atlanta, who's hot now, to catch up with them. And I think they want to put the Rams away early. So I think 38-7. And by the way, I think the last couple of weeks, both Green Bay and Dallas have shown some mercy on the Rams and kind of called off the dogs.
Yeah, fourth quarter call off. I would totally agree with that a little bit. You know what? I think it'll be a little bit closer, and I'll tell you why. Because these two franchises play each other really well. I think that Steve Spagnuolo is going to take a note out of the John Fox old keep it close and try to win it at the end type thing. They have to be able to play good defense. They have to be able to score in the red zone like you talked about. And I think the key is, for me, is time of possession. I think that if they can keep Drew Brees on the sideline, march it down, chew up some clock, and put some points on the board, even if it's 3 each time, I think they have a chance to do this. Dan Henning, offensive coordinator when I was with Carolina, he and Jake Loam, he would always have them snap the ball with 3 seconds left on the play clock. That really starts to chew up things, you know what, and really starts to take away from the game itself. So for me, I'm like you, too many blue players, too many red players there for New Orleans, too many difference makers and playmakers. I'm going to go with New Orleans Saints as well. I'm going to go 28-7. I agree with you. They're only going to score about 7 points. Hopefully they can get a couple field goals in if they can get them down there and get them close. But really, it's going to be tight. It really is. Make sure you log on to 101sports.com. Check out Randy and Rammer, DeMarco, and everybody else that writes there. They do a great job. And also check out TonySoftli.com as well. Until next time, see you soon.